Welcome back to the Artie Lange Show, hour number 3. My next guest, real popular guy, retired major leaguer. Everyone loves him. Here to talk a little bit about the World Series is the great Steve Lyons. Steve, what's up, buddy?
Oh, everything's going pretty good, Artie. How are you guys?
We're doing good. So, real quick here, it looks like one night one team made some mistakes, and the next night the other team made some mistakes. Two quality teams looking a little ugly. Huh? I mean, what do you think's going on here?
Well, I think, the pressure of the World Series gets to you a little bit. You try to do some things that maybe you shouldn't try to do. And, I always, working for the Dodgers for the last 9 years like I have, kind of been spoiled by pitchers on that team who are excellent athletes, guys like Clayton Kershaw and Zach Greinke, and guys that really can feel their position and do the job. Every other pitcher in baseball you pretty much call a non-athlete, and if you can keep the ball out of their hands when they're not pitching, you should do that. And
yeah.
I don't know what Breslow's doing trying to throw. You know what? Here's something that no one is talking about on that play. If Gomes catches the ball and throws the ball to second base, he doubles off John Jay.
Right.
Look at the second replay that Fox shows. John Jay makes a base-running screw-up. He's on his way to third base, realizes all of a sudden out of nowhere that Gomes is going to catch the ball. Gomes is going to his left. It's a really difficult play to try to turn back and throw the plate. I don't know how many outfield assists he has, but I would bet very few. That was a tough play. You're probably not going to get him. And the play at second base doesn't present itself very often. But if you see the second replay that Fox showed, John Jay's halfway to third base. When Gomes catches that ball, it's a 50-foot throw into second base. You double him off. It's the third out, and I bet the run doesn't score. I bet that run from third doesn't score by the time you get the guy out at second base, but he didn't do it. And nobody's saying anything about that.
Interesting. Yeah, I tell you, that's when baseball, really more people should focus on how much brains it takes, how many brains it takes to play baseball. Sometimes that's all spontaneous thinking, And
obviously that play is built. Gomes is catching the ball. He's thinking, here's the tying run on third base. I got to try to throw him out at the plate. But sometimes the play itself doesn't present that you can do that. He's going to his left. It wasn't a deeply hit ball, but it's just a tough play on a guy who's not noted as an outstanding defensive left fielder. But all of a sudden, second base is 50 feet in front of you, and the guy who's on second base is halfway to third base. So it's just kind of, it's one of those presence of mind plays.
Right.
And no, he didn't do it, but certainly no one else out there is talking about it either.
Hey, what about the Red Sox decision to definitely play Ortiz at first base in St. Louis? They have to do that, right?
Yeah, you got to keep guys in the lineup. When you look at the way they're built, they are a classic American League team. They got a bunch of guys that can hit, but not a bunch of guys that can play in the field. Napoli's probably going to be out of there. They got to get Ortiz in there somewhere to keep his bat in the lineup because he's smoking hot right now. Mm-hmm. And he's their only offense. So they have 4 hits tonight.
Right.
You're looking at a lot of playoff teams this season. And generally it holds true in baseball that once you get down to the League Championship Series and the World Series, you're talking about outstanding pitching staff and not really great offensive teams. The Red Sox have really been struggling to score runs over the last month or so. Certainly the Cardinals are in the same situation. You look at the Dodgers when they were in the playoffs. All the League Championship Series were pretty much dominated by pitching. We saw a blowout game yesterday, but that was pretty much an aberration. All these games tightly put together, low-scoring ball games with great pitching.
So how long has it been since David Ortiz has actually played in the field?
I doubt he has a glove.
Exactly. I mean, how big a liability is he going to be?
Yeah, it could come back and bite you. But when you're in the situation that the Red Sox are in, with the way their team is built, you have to eat a little bit of defense to keep your bats in the lineup, especially because they haven't had very much production out of anybody else. They have to keep him in there somehow. I mean, he was a first baseman. The guy's 38 years old now. He's not going to have any, he's going to have the range of a traffic cone over there at first base. He better stand really, really close to first. And if anything gets hit over to him, just kind of get down in front of it and try to knock it down.
As an actor, I have the range of a traffic cone as well. I'm fine with it.
Steve, when you talk about the culture of the Cardinals, I know people get tired of hearing that, but it's just funny when you talk about pitching in particular. Remember Matt Morris and Darryl Kyle. Then they kind of handed it off to Chris Carpenter. He kind of handed it off to Adam Wainwright. And now Wainwright kind of hands it off to Michael Wacha. Talk a little bit about Wacha and just, I guess the culture, particularly with the pitching staff in St. Louis, how they're able to do this and how guys are able to respond and respect and then move on from the guys they learned from.
Well, they had Dave Duncan in the organization as their pitching coach for a long, long time, and he really kind of set the standard and really brought people into what the philosophy of the organization was going on. Plus, I think you have to give a lot of credit to the general managers over time in that organization to kind of build a philosophy as to what they wanted and what they were looking for. There was some talk about Wacha in tonight's game where, I don't know, what was he, a 16th round pick? There was a lot of people that passed up on this guy before they drafted him. They draft big arms. You look at every pitcher in the game tonight was a rookie. That was Wacha, Martinez, then Rosenthal. Every one of those guys kind of came out of nowhere to really give this team a lift. Without those three guys, you're not looking at a team that's in a World Series. But now they're really relying heavily on all three of them to try to get them through this World Series. So it's really kind of an amazing story that, when this season started, they weren't banking on any one of those guys, and now they're kind of the mainstays, certainly two of them out of the bullpen, and a guy who they're going to expect to win 2 starts in the World Series.
Yeah, Martinez looks nasty. Yeah.
It has been for a while now, too.
Yeah. I'm interested in the Carlos Beltran thing. I didn't hear exactly how that was going to work out with the injury that he sustained last night. But, I saw he had an RBI tonight. Did you notice any lingering ill effects?
Yeah, he said that he doesn't feel real comfortable swinging the bat left-handed, which is really where his more power is and where he's a better hitter. But he got the base hit tonight right-handed, hit the ball to the opposite field, drove in another run. It was big. This guy's such a big-time player. Obviously crashed into that wall last night and bruised his ribs. It's kind of odd that we're seeing some big-time players hurt their ribs in the playoffs. Same thing happened to Hanley Ramirez. Really changed that entire series with the Dodgers and the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Without Hanley being able to swing the bat, he was their best player. And now you see really Carlos, really the best player on the cards, struggling. But he went back out there, obviously not hurt as badly as Hanley was. I'm sure that his ribs are sore and they're bruised, but unless they're broken, you're going to run back out there and play. This is the first time he's had a chance to play in a World Series, and he was effective again tonight. So off day tomorrow, I think they'll get better and better. They'll keep giving him round-the-clock treatment, and if he could play tonight, I don't anticipate him missing any more games the rest of the series.
Right.
So what are we thinking here? You think there's a chance the Cardinals can finish it out in St. Louis, or is this so evenly matched? You think it's inevitable it comes back? What are you thinking, 6 games, 7 games? Who do you like?
Yeah, I think it's 6 or 7 games. I actually still like the Red Sox. They need to start swinging the bats a little bit better. Tonight was a game that got away from them. They got the lead late. They're usually not a team that spits it back up. But as I said, if you put the ball in the hands of a pitcher when he's not on the mound, you're looking at some big trouble. But St. Louis, they could go. The crowds in St. Louis are awesome. I've said for years the only problem with St. Louis is there's no real home field advantage because they're just so nice. Even if you're the opposing team and you make a nice play, they'll clap for you.
Really?
It's not like going into New York where you learn new things about your mother. St. Louis, they're so happy that you're there. It's not like it's an intimidating place, but that team plays well there, and it's a lot of fun to play baseball there, and they can dominate games at home, and they're going to have 3 of them there, so they could put it away. But I doubt it. I think Boston's able to win 1 or 2 there and bring it back.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. When you played, what town had the worst fans, you think?
Well, worst being the most intimidating or obnoxious.
Yeah, most obnoxious.
The worst fans were in Cleveland when I played because nobody showed up. You could count them all. And then Cleveland ended up being a really, really great baseball city there when they were getting into the playoffs and getting into the World Series. New York, I once got hit in the butt with a golf ball in Detroit, and if you remember the old Detroit, when I was playing center field, center field was like 440 feet away, and I played a pretty shallow center field. That's a pretty good. Someone really winged it to be able to hit me with a golf ball in the outfield. In New York, they make up songs about you, and none of them you can sing on the radio.
Right. Well, what about Philly? Did you ever play against Philly?
Very rarely, but, in my experience after my playing days going into Philly, it was a piece of cake. They were fun. I loved being in Philly, even when the Dodgers were in the playoffs against them, and I hung out in the stands. Felt like I got treated well. They're passionate. Certainly, I think they boo safe landings there. But as far as the fans that I encountered, it was a pretty good experience.
Hey, Steve, what's next for you? What are you thinking for 2014?
Wow, good question. I'm currently looking. I would love to get back on the national scene. Certainly going to try to have some conversations with MLB Network, ESPN. I would also love the opportunity to work on a daily basis with a team again. At 9 great years with the Dodgers, they decided to make some changes with the new network, and I wish them well. But obviously, I need to move forward, and hopefully, something good will come out of it.
Yeah, well, real quick while we got you, you're a inside baseball guy. Your thoughts on the A-Rod situation? The 211 games, is he in the right? Is he in the wrong? What do you think his future is? What's your opinion on that whole thing?
It's just so crazy and out of hand. I guess I'm still one of the few guys that can see through everything that's happened with A-Rod and remember the guy who was the fresh-faced kid in Seattle who was just such an amazing ball player and was going to take this world by storm, and he did for a number of years. It has gotten so ugly and out of hand now, but I really believe that baseball as an organization and A-Rod himself in the litigation process that they're going to go through, you really have to have due process. Some of the things that I was hearing happening to A-Rod wouldn't happen to anybody else, and I don't think that you can treat him any differently than any other player that might be in the same situation that he's in. You still have to give him due process, whether you like him or don't like him. I just think it's a bad precedent to set if you don't.
Yeah, well, you certainly do. 211 games sounded crazy, but I don't know.
Yeah.
He just really spits in the face of everything,
Yeah, what happened to a 50-game suspension for first offense and then a 100-game suspension for the next offense? Just because it's A-Rod, you can't throw the book at him and say, hey, we're going to go 211 games or do what we want just because we don't like some of the situations that you've been in. And certainly he doesn't have the support of the organization because they'll do anything to get out of having to pay what they're going to have to pay him. So it's a bad situation all the way around.
What do you think of Bud Selig's legacy? Positive, negative? What do you think?
I think it's absolutely positive. Bud is not a very gregarious guy, but you look at everything he's done, and you take his entire role as commissioner since he took over. The game has never been in better shape. The advent, redid the divisions. Interleague play has been a huge hit. Some people are tired of it, but at the end of the day, it was great for baseball. The wild card in baseball, there's just so many things that he was behind that really paid off in the game. I don't know if there's a lot of people that sit around and say, oh, my gosh, I'm a huge Bud Selig fan. I don't think that really happens. I think you really have to step away from what you think of him personally and look at what he's done for the game. And what he has done has really moved this game forward.
I agree. Ultimately, I really do. Well, listen, Steve, I appreciate you coming on. Before the end of the series, we'd love to have you back on. And good luck with everything personally. I hope we do see you back on the national scene, all right?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good job. The great Steve Lyons.
The Artie Lange Show, weeknights on Audience, only on DirecTV.